Happy New Year! What up, viewers? What up, and welcome to the first news report of 2022. I'm Calc Soups, and today is Friday, January 7th, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. This year is already kind of starting off with a couple big bangs, so let's just jump right in. The Consumer Electronics Show, CES, was this week. I remember it being later in the year, but maybe I'm just misremembering. But yes, the Consumer Electronics Show was this week. Usually it is involved with, or everything that's kind of shown there is a bunch of hardware, usually geared towards PC gamers or, TVs and other kind of stuff like that. But Sony did a pretty cool presentation, and that's what I want to focus on. So at the PlayStation CES showcase, they talked about a couple big things. One being PlayStation VR 2 is happening and coming. They didn't list out the price point, which I'd be very interested to see what the price point is. I think around $400, maybe less, would be the ideal. They're probably competing with something like the Oculus, the Quest, the Oculus Quest 1 or 2. So you're looking at probably somewhere between the $200 to $300 range. But I think anything less than $400, with some of the specs they've talked about, would be right on price. They also got Guerrilla Studios to talk about a new Horizon game. I believe it was called Horizon Call of the Mountains. But a whole Horizon VR game for PSVR 2 should be very interesting. And then they also kind of talked about a new tournaments feature, which for those of you who don't remember, PlayStation had invested in EVO, the biggest fighting tournament in the world. They invested in that last year, so I think this is the fruits of that. I think it sounds like they're gonna have an interface that'll be more conducive to people setting up their own tournaments via the PlayStation. So pretty interesting stuff, but there was a lot of other stuff that I will talk about a little bit of it later, but that was kind of one of the big stories this week. And I've got a very soft spot in my heart for VR. I consider myself a VR expert, so or at least something I keep track of constantly. So it's something I'm very interested in. No games are launching this year yet, but 2 games are coming down the pipe that I wanted to talk about. Next week, we'll see the launch of Anacrusis. Anacrusis? I don't remember what this, I don't remember exactly how to say it, but Anacrusis is a sci-fi, kind of the like 70s, 80s vibe of sci-fi. It's the gameplay. It looks very much Left 4 Dead-like, where you and a couple of friends are going to be fighting off waves of enemies with specials and unique guns. So this is kind of the Left 4 Dead in space, that for those people who are interested in shooting up some aliens with their friends, I think this would be definitely something to look forward to. Last year at E3, we talked about how there is a pretty big wave of like Left 4 Dead clones coming out, starting with Aliens Fireteam and Back 4 Blood. I think of this as more of like the crest of the wave with Anacrusis. Especially since the next game we're going to talk about, Rainbow Six Quarantine, Left 4 Dead, Extraction. Rainbow Six Extraction is also coming out in 2 weeks, and we got a good 20 minutes of gameplay that'll have a link down below so you can check out. But this, I think, is kind of the crest or the middle of the Left 4 Dead wave. There are still some Left 4 Dead clones like Dark Tide that are coming out, so those ones I'm still looking forward to as well. But there are 2 Left 4 Dead games coming out in the month of January, so kind of pick your favorite and see which one interests you most. One of the key facts that I thought was pretty interesting was Rainbow Six Extraction will be a Game Pass game. Will launch day and date on Game Pass. So both Back 4 Blood and Extraction are launching day and date on Xbox Game Pass. So yeah, another way that you can, hopefully with crossplay, you'll be able to play with your friends across consoles, but Xbox players with Game Pass get to play it with their subscription service. So very cool stuff there. Moving right along, we don't know much about it, but rumors are starting to speculate that work is being done for Jedi Fallen Order. The reports kind of talk about that there's going to be an announcement prior to E3, potentially in the May timeframe. I know that EA and 2K have done like pre-E3 announcements before. That's what 2K did with Red Dead Redemption 2. And so it has been 3 years since 2019's Jedi Fallen Order 1. So looking forward to seeing kind of what the team did with Jedi Fallen Order 2 and see how they can kind of level up the Jedi abilities and keep the same kind of crunchy combat, even make it a little bit more difficult, because I know that a lot of people criticized it as being like a Dark Souls light, but I really enjoyed the game, and I would love to explore kind of that time frame through the eyes of either Cal Kestis or some other new hero. So it'd be interesting to kind of check that out. Speaking of E3, E3 will be digital only again this year. Due to COVID and the Omicron variant, there will not be a show floor. I think some of the speculative talk last year was like, I think the ESA wanted to go physical, at least starting in 2022, not foreseeing that there'd be more COVID and a highly contagious variant that they had to worry about. I always thought that those kind of plans were a little tentative to begin with, so interesting stuff there. But yes, E3 will be digital only again this year. I did read a report talking about PC Gamer had a hot take that they want E3 to be digital going forward. I somewhat agree. I like watching the showcases digitally from the comfort of my seat at home, but I do want an excuse to go to the LA Convention Center and hang out with all of my industry pals. So I still like that portion of it, but crowding in and waiting in line, definitely not something I look forward to returning in future years. But that's just me as a snobby insider. So hopefully we get some form of physical E3 sometime in the future, but not this year. Activision Blizzard studios are still striking, and since I haven't talked in 3 weeks, so I think before I left for the holiday break, Activision Raven Studio, I believe one of the Call of Duty studios, had just recently let go of like 12 or so, a dozen or so QA testers. This kind of triggered something within the studio, and they started to strike. So there's still been no response, but the studio is still striking. I think that I don't know that this is necessarily affecting Activision Blizzard's bottom line right now, since they've already launched their big cash cow with Call of Duty Vanguard. So they're still raking in money from that. So I think it's going to be a while before they kind of get a response from Activision Blizzard. But eventually, the studios and the workers, the people working on the next Call of Duty game, like, this will start to delay them even more. So hopefully people can continue to keep up the strike, and I hope that that potential and motions elsewhere in the games industry are talking about strike or are discussing unionizing, and so hopefully some of those efforts can be thrown towards Activision Blizzard's way, and we can start to have that kind of conversation as well. So hopefully looking forward to seeing kind of how this evolves and what kind of action Activision Blizzard takes, or what the employees take to turn the screws on Activision Blizzard. This year is already starting to be quoted as the year of the portable PC. So we know that the Steam Deck is coming out in just a few short months. But this week I saw a few, or at least I saw one portable PC alternative. This was the Aya Neo, a new portable PC that's coming out. And one thing I did note was that this is a little bit more of a premium product, in that it is priced at $1,300, so twice that of the highest level Steam Deck. So that I think is a pretty interesting take. I think if people wanted a portable PC, they'd probably want it at a lower price point, something closer to a Switch, which is something you get with the 3 different models of the Steam Deck. Well, I guess the one model of the Steam Deck is twice the price of a Switch, but you do get your whole Steam library with that. Another thing of getting third-party portable PCs I would be worried about is just kind of the infrastructure. Steam has your whole library. I assume the integration is going to be pretty smooth and easy to operate. Some of these third-party ones I would be a little bit concerned about. NVIDIA probably knows what they're doing, so I would trust something like that. But I don't know too much about the Aya Neo, but other than it's highly priced, and I would just be concerned about the kind of user interface, because even though it is a portable PC, I think people want the user interface to be more that of a portable console and less of that of a PC, which depending on how you have to load games onto it or interact with it, it could be very difficult for your casual consumer. So yeah, hopefully, I'm glad that there are competitors for the Steam Deck, but I would just be concerned about high priced and the interface, and that's just kind of my kind of thoughts on the matter. But it could be the year of the portable PC, so you heard it here first. Razer, one of my favorite gaming peripheral companies, is also at CES because they make peripherals and hardware and chairs and all that kind of stuff. And the one thing from CES that I caught was the Zephyr Pro. So their RGB mask is now coming out with a Pro version. Something I think that they discussed back at E3, I think, of last year. Their mask is their first form of their mask is already out, but the Zephyr Pro is coming out sometime soon. This new one will have voice amplification, so instead of having a plastic mask in front of you, they'll actually have a speaker that you can kind of speak through, and you can amplify your voice, so you don't get kind of washed out from a piece of plastic in front of your mouth. It also has kind of these filters that you have to change every couple days, but it does come with a lot of them, so it's something you don't have to change out, or you'll at least have an amount of before having to like replace them, which could be particularly sticky at some points, but especially since I saw the packs were like $30 for 30 of them. So if you have to replace them every other day or something like that, then it could add to the price. As well as it has, of course, the RGB around the filters, so you can kind of, and there's going to be an app apparently that you can kind of dress up the colors for it. So I'm interested in these, but I'm thinking of it more as like a cyberpunk cosplay piece than probably with the mask that I wear every day. But they did show the stats on how protected you are while wearing it, and I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but the numbers that they quoted were actually pretty high. So it is more protective than your typical cloth mask, which I thought was really cool and interesting. Also coming out of Razer CES was that they were working with Fossil on a quote-unquote gamer watch, which I think it's funny that you can just say something is dedicated to gamers, and then they throw an RGB on it, and then you're done with it. Like I didn't look too much into the specs around the watch, but there were like 4 gamers and RGB, and that was it. So I thought this was kind of a little bit of lazy marketing, but pretty interested to kind of see what makes this watch for gamers, other than the fact that you can potentially have the same app that you're using for your mask to RGB your wristwatch. So interested to see what goes on there. Moving right along, there's a resurrected project, and nothing more appropriate than Project Zomboid has dramatically increased in popularity over the last couple weeks. They recently released an update 41 that completely overhauled the 10-year-old game. So that has brought a lot of people into the fold. I think their player count has gone from like 6,000 or 7,000 concurrents to something like above 10 to 16. I think I saw some numbers even as high as 18,000 concurrent players. So they're doubling or tripling their player base after one big update, and with that, they've started piecing out or planning out an update path. So something very interesting coming out of that. I haven't played Zomboid in a couple of years, and I had a little bit of fun with it back in the day. I didn't stick too long in the game, but I thought it was reasonably fun. Something you probably need a group of friends to play with, and maybe a dedicated server for. But definitely something that would reinvigorate, the interest in my friend group. So potentially check out Project Zomboid check out Project Zomboid sometime soon to see what, if you already have it in your Steam library, feel free to download it and load it up and see what all the big changes are. But it sounds like they made a lot of big changes with some more big ones on the way. Last but not least, Amazon's video game series. One of Amazon's video game TV shows is starting production. The one nearest and dearest to my heart, the Fallout show, has started production. So that's fun and interesting. I think that it's still a whiles away. Production, it's going to take a while, but something I was reminded of when I was checking out this story was that Jonathan Nolan was involved. I think I remember that, but I had forgotten it since I haven't heard too much about the Fallout TV show in some time. But getting the head of the Westworld series to come over to the Fallout series could be pretty fun, and there could be some narrative parallels between Fallout and Westworld. But all in all, I'm very excited for a Fallout TV series coming from Amazon. That's it for the week. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this content. If you do, follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch so you can see more great content like this. I'll have links down below in the description. Thanks again. I hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super new year. And I hope you have a super day. Bye!